Aloha. Oh, no sound. Okay.
I'm there.
Now you're here. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes.
Aloha.
Hi.
I was just seeing if I'm going to use this camera instead of my other camera. Can you see me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. Are you just rocking building your business right now?
Um, I don't know. Am I rocking building my business?
Yeah.
I feel good about like kind of where I'm putting my attention on it. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. We're here specifically for you.
I feel nervous. Could we record this?
It's happening right now.
Okay. Dun, 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 dun.
Yep. Boom. How about check in? Move some energy a little bit.
Do you want to check in or do you just want me to check in?
I'll check in after you check in.
Okay. Yeah, I feel nervous. Some of that is just like, I think some of that is just this place where like when I put my attention on like my business or making money in this way, just a lot of sensation, it's a lot of energy. And when I talked to Rich the other day, he said something to me about that. He's like, Kendra, when you show up, like in terms of leadership and in terms of like your facilitation, you just show up like a lion. And when you show up like for creating money, you show up like a mouse. Mm-hmm. And there's something like, so in that, so I've been really kind of, somehow that, just that analogy really worked for me. Mm-hmm. When and like okay, what is it to show up like a lion? And then where I get all the energy. Mm-hmm. I also like, even inside of this, I have something specific I want to talk about today. And so okay. I won't bring it up now, but I just noticed I have a lot of sensation around like having something specific. Let's see if I take it kind of outside of this realm a little bit. I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of like so front and center for me. But in general, I feel pretty good. I'm a little caffeinated. Yada's been sick, and it's made our nights just less restful. Mm-hmm. And so I've kind of been in this like, just the dance of like generating in a place where really what I want to do is just be like, fuck, like I want to lie in the sun and sleep. Mm-hmm. And kind of holding how like generating myself can also be authentic, you know, mm-hmm. Like it's kind of like necessary, but also where it doesn't necessarily have to be like, just change state, you know? Yeah. appreciating just like dropping in and kind of like dropping into being connected to you, but also just like feeling love and loved. Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
I feel happy.
I think that's like, I don't know, let's check in for me for right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, I'm super excited about being on this with you and being of service to you in this way. It just lights me up. For me, that this is what I'm fucking good at, and it's like, it's been too long coming for us to do this, and for me, so I'm like, sweet. And then also bringing the energy of feeling movement with the school. I had a call with Jenny I think she's in Paris right now, and just really, she's connecting me with some good people to create this, and bringing that energy to this call of, that's our foundation of us being in relationship, and so I have a lot of the school energy of creation and manifestation of the impossible. And that, it's not impossible. Nothing is impossible. And letting my mind think something's impossible is a really good thing, because that points me in a direction that maybe that is something of interest to check out. So really feeling that, and good to connect your eyes with mine, and love what you're already bringing. So I'm being with that. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So you had something you were bringing.
Yeah. I feel I think some different ways about this. One is just some like intensity and also maybe nervous energy actually about this. And then the other is there's the part of me that wanted to sort of go like, okay, like go on your ride first. And then, but I'll just tell you anyway. I was lying I have a little window seat actually. And so I was doing that. I was lying in the sun, and I was like, okay, what's really true? And part of it for me actually comes down to a piece about hide nothing. And, in a way, we set that as a context in 4PC. So we kind of have it like, I kind of think you and I just play in that realm in general. That's like where we like to play. Mm-hmm. There's kind of this implicit piece of that between us, but just like, okay. So so it's there for me that is like to say that and then just put it out on the table is that I want to make a proposal to you about working with me in creating your live event. And such a, like, there's sort of this switch. I'm like, oh, I'm being coached by you. But then there's this way, like, this is partly it's like a hide nothing thing. Like that's just in there for me. And then there's also this, I feel a little emotional, just like, I think some of it's just the intensity and then some of it's just emotion. but then also it's a funny meeting of those things where I'm like, oh, this is actually probably, well, it's definitely one of the biggest things that I could work on in this area, or like me putting my attention on that, where it would serve. So that's the thing. And then so I guess I want to do that. Okay. I'm just aware of, it feels like both the perspectives, you know, like I'm aware of like, oh, that's one of the places that I be like a mouse in this area is where I'm kind of waiting for permission.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, one, that, I'm totally open to that.
Yes.
And that, that would be more of a different for me than, in the realm of actually creating, whatever you want to create in the financial part. And I know it's tied to it being that you'd be giving me a proposal.
Yes.
And so it's almost, I feel like it should, you put it out and then that it should be at a different, or at the end, or that we actually talk separately about that from actually the creation that you're wanting for yourself.
Okay.
As a whole, how does that feel to you?
I think that it's a little bit where I had that tension point of like, oh, I kind of want to go on Tony's ride first, or like and then where that did make sense, but I also didn't want to, I noticed if I just didn't say anything that I'd be hiding it the whole time.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And I'm open to this changing in the process of like the time that we have in the next, you know, so we got some time here, but I'd like to kind of have the idea of checking in at about like 45 minutes to the end or something, and seeing if there's a space, if like both of us, if it feels right, or if it can actually happen. Because I think one of the things I do is there's hiding it or something, but there's also like putting it off.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my request.
Awesome.
Okay.
Let's play there, and we'll go on a ride right now.
Okay. Awesome.
Awesome. So, this is around. So for you, what does this call for you? What do you want out of this call?
So for me, I don't know if this is like exactly an answer to that, but I would say I reached out. They're kind of two things, and they feel side by side. Or I don't know how many, but anyway, there's something like, kind of bumped up against this at different places for myself, like over, I would say the last year, of kind of like, okay, what the fuck, Kendra, around money? Like, and I don't know, something sort of clicked recently where I was just like, okay, like seriously. And it just had me, it's had me sort of like reaching out and asking for help in a different way. And also being, I'm being more blunt about like, okay, I want to make more money,
Mm-hmm.
rather than like couching it in nicer language or things that I think sound like make it sound better. And both of it has to do with like, there's the looking good part of wanting it to sound better.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also a part for me to just be like, okay, actually, like I know that I'm of service and I know that I love doing that. And like the part that's harder for me to do and harder for me to speak about is just money, like in a really blunt, pure and simple way.
Mm-hmm.
Inside of that, there's, and I don't know if I've talked to you about this before, but like looking back at last September's public intensive, I mean, this is where I really relate to what Rich said. It's just like, yeah, I felt great. I felt awesome about how I showed up. I just had like almost no regrets. And, even the little place I had regrets, I was like, oh, I totally learned something. Like I just felt great and strong. And, like everybody who came up to me from anything that I offered during that time about it, like basically all I had to say back was like, oh, I'm so glad. Like, I'm so glad you had that experience, or I'm glad you liked it. Like that was kind of my, I'm happy for you. And just being like, okay, there's something more to say or to offer or to actually utilize. Like I have an incredible opportunity. I had one in September. I have another one coming up in April, and wanting to actually use that opportunity.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. In a way that is not just fun in the moment, but like carries forward and offers me work that I love and work that, pays me really well and supports me and my family. And yeah. And then partly in reaching out to you, I noticed I sort of had this thing. I was like, well, if Tony had something to say to me, he would have said it to me. And then I was like, oh, I haven't just asked. This is kind of in the like being more bold about just asking, and vulnerable about asking, instead of just assuming that you would tell me what you saw or tell me what to do. That's what I'm really hoping all the time, is someone will just tell me what to do. But that I had never just said like, Tony, please help me. Like I want to shift this area and, would you help me? So does that answer that question to some extent?
I think so. And I'm going to say it right back to you so that we're on the same page, so that I make sure it's the same.
Yeah.
Want to create more money.
Yes.
And then seeing that areas that seeing opportunities where they are all around you all the time to create money.
Yes.
And so like at the intensive, like the example that you just gave is that seizing those opportunities.
Yes.
Those are the two things you want out of this conversation. Is to recognize the opportunities.
Yes. Let's see. Recognize the opportunities, seize the opportunities. And, I don't know if this is quite it. There's something about like knowing what the heck to do with the opportunities.
Okay.
Having rain catchment systems that, make sense to me.
Yeah, we can do that. That's great. Okay. So money, range catchment.
Yeah.
Okay. So now
there's something awesome about acknowledging for myself in a way. I mean, it's kind of amazing actually, the opportunity that like the rain that I've made happen with Rich, for instance, and like the relationship I've created or whatever that would have him say like, yes, you can stand on my stage. Like, yes, you can lead this. Yes, I'll give you a small group. Like awesome. Okay. So I'm good at like a certain kind of rain. And then, how do I catch it?
Yeah. Turning it into a monetary thing too.
Yeah. Yes.
With the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's clear.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to get specific.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and you probably heard some of this, but I'm bringing it to you again. So in 365 days, how much money do you want?
Um, in 365 days, how much money do I want? Well, Craig said something to me recently that really landed,
Mm-hmm.
which is he basically said there's like study out there, or there's data, whatever, that basically says up to $75,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
every little bit like actually makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
People feel it, and then after 75,000, it's pretty incremental.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something relaxed in me about that, where I was like, I can go. I mean, I've sort of said 100,000 before, or like, sure, more than. I mean, I can kind of see. But even if I just go like, wow, $75,000 in a year, that would be pretty amazing for my life. And so I felt pretty grounded in that.
Mm.
And I like it as basically it's like $6,000 a month. I'm like, okay, cool. I start breaking it down, and it feels like that can land in my system.
Okay. So that's not the one I want.
You want the one that just spazzes me out?
Mm-hmm.
um, well, I'll tell you what would be amazing. Because there's a way that if I kind of go up into just like bigger numbers, I just am like, I don't know, I'm just making shit up. So it doesn't quite do that. But if I go to something like $200,000,
Mm-hmm.
like in the next 365 days, um, where I can ground that in is that it's basically what I just said, plus like the down payment on property in my area.
Mm-hmm.
And where I go like, oh, um, that would make a tangible difference in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's actually something that matters to me in terms of my family and the life I
Mm-hmm.
want to have with them.
Okay. So 200,000 is what I just heard.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to speak again, specifically the grounding part, that
Yes.
going up to the 200 grand and not feeling the grounding part right now
Yeah.
is correct, right?
Yeah.
That it's for me that the body getting used to what that is, that like the experience of $200,000 is my body's not, it's not grounded in it, and that it's okay that it's not grounded in it because my body's never experienced that before, or that it hasn't happened recently, something like that, right?
Yes.
And so the fact that we start to really just say, okay, 200 grand, and that's what it is. That's the number. And just to sit with that. And again, that the energy of that, of showing up as somebody that creates 200 grand, you show up differently. I show up differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I just even speaking it to Rich was a fucking stretch for me. And Christina, was like, come tell Rich what you just did. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to tell him I broke 200,000,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to tell him. And then I went away and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's like bragging to me. And
Yeah.
so the fact that you just start to acclimate to what does it feel like to experience $200,000 income is
Mm-hmm.
getting the body used to that. So it's not something, I mean, it's a place to come from, not a place to get to.
Yeah.
That we talked about last conversation, just the fact that you feel it in your body
Yeah.
is how you start to then be okay with actually doing it.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I also, this comes again from the conversation I had with Rich recently. Having had that, I'm more aware. It's like not like these thoughts have gone away, but I'm more aware of them. I'm like, oh right, because I'm there's also part of it where I'm assuming that there's a like a tension point, or that means not a simple life,
Mm-hmm.
and that also means selfish, like because I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
and so it's helpful that I had that, because it put it sort of front and center. I was like, oh, right. I remember I was talking to Rich about, like, if I was making $200,000 a year, then I would have that kind of spaciousness or the freedom that would create in my life to, like, go look at what it would even mean to do some of this kind of work in prisons. It's just like a dream of mine. Right. So it's like, anyway, just feels front and center to remember that those things are not dichotomous or separate.
Did you just say to go do some of this work in prisons?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel moved by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you had the opportunity to experience that yet?
No.
So I have. I went with the Mankind Project into Salinas Valley State Federal Penitentiary. Ooh, it's just even saying it like, yeah, it was like, I couldn't tell if I was cold or my knees were shaking because I was so fucking scared to go walk into that prison. And the juice and richness that came out of it was very profound. It is, I mean, and that lights me up when I'm hearing that this type of income is going to free you up to be able to go do that.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that last year, to really test that for myself, was saying I am going to work 2 days a week and 3 weeks a month and take 2 months off a year, so that I have more time to do the things that I want to do, like the school.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wasn't even bringing as much focus to the school. It was more around saying my old belief systems say I'm going to have less time, more headaches with more money.
Mm-hmm.
And can it be the opposite? And so, like, it was a test for me last year to do that. And so I'm being the model that you're witnessing me, that is that you see it, that it is a part of you, to be able to see it, and that we're in relationship, that it is totally doable and possible. And there's two things that you brought up of why you'd make $100,000 or $200,000. So prison work and to buy a piece of property. Those two are sound very rooted in your body of why you'd want to do it. Right? So knowing why is a big deal, because the why then is the driving force to making proposals for me.
Right. Yeah.
So every time you're nervous, you're like, oh, I get to go in the prison system. If there's a yes, even if there's a no, it gives me one step closer. So let's check underneath that. So why else would you want to do that?
Well, for me, there's certainly a piece, and this goes with the property, but there's certainly a piece that's just about, like, I think one of the reasons this has been hard for me is that there's ways in which I know that this is not dependent on money. And yet it's like an ex-boyfriend's mom of mine used to say, like, being rich doesn't make you happy, but being poor sure can make you unhappy. And there's just, like, a certain way that I want my family to feel. And so again, it's like, I know that's not dependent on money. And there's just this sense of like, oh, I'd love to know that my response to my kids about like why I'm not buying them something actually comes from just my belief about like, we have too much crap, or they don't need that thing, or they don't need to get everything they ask for or something. And that it's not also like, because I don't think we can afford it, you know, like stop asking me for stuff because I can't afford it. And that's like part of kind of like a feeling of ease or spaciousness. And then the piece that's connected to the property is just like, there's like this container that I want to create for me and my kids that just involves like slow time, where there's no agenda, and they want me to stop and look at something. I just stop and look at that thing, but also I'm in a place where I feel good. You know, and I always, whenever, like for me, like going to my happy place or like imagining that kind of time with my kids, it's always in nature. And so much about just wanting to be able to walk out our back door and have a garden that we can walk through, and a place that's like safe, and how, you know, and the kind of experience of watching life and like the seasons move through fruit trees and the animals that live there, and all of that, like in that place that we just walk out our back door and be connected to.
Yes. So for yourself and your kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So great motivator. Again, the why you're doing it. It's like having the mission, your mission work, and work to provide for the family the type of lifestyle that you want to create and are creating for them. And they both go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So the energy that around giving proposals, that was coming when you were when you were talking to me about giving a proposal. It like was getting flighty. I'll use the word like not grounded in why you're doing it. And so that like that anchor of the why is then saying, you know, I do have value and this is what it's worth. Whether you do it or not, it's not the difference. It's more that I know that I'm doing this for this purpose, and this is what my value is. It's like staying in this place that you're in right now. You're very, I feel it. You know, so the practice of giving proposals from this place. So like for me, if you're like, oh, you want me to tell you what to do? Is I'm telling you right now, just go give fucking proposals to as many people as you can over and over and over. I don't care what they say. Just keep giving them so that you actually experience more and more and more and more of this feeling of proposals from this place. You know, and you can do it from, you know, games like Rich likes to do with the 90-day money game, and different avenues for doing it are to track it and all that kind of stuff. But more that you're like doing it from the why, and fearlessly, or even with fear, keep doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the piece that's landing for me in this moment that's just a little different than where it's landed about like the other games or something is, there is something about, and this is just, I don't know, I just have to reflect back. There's something beautiful about how this pings right back to your like integrated
leadership.
Yeah. And in the embodiment piece of it, because I'm like, oh, actually what I'm getting about this is like the practice of giving proposals from this place is, again, it's actually that piece in the body of even giving a proposal and being like, oh, this is what it would have taken for me to be more grounded, or this is where I wasn't connected to this, or this, like just the feeling of that, like giving them more and more, so that it's like, yes, the practice, like getting over the numbers, and yes, just doing it to do it, and yes, doing it through fear, but it feels also like this truing up, like an actual truing up practice, like physical embodied truing up practice.
Yes.
Like of doing a yoga pose over and over and over again, because I can feel the way that, oh, this foot wants to do that, or this, like, yeah.
It's training.
Yeah. Yeah. It never totally landed for me that way before. I don't know why. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
For me, when I really do look at it as training, I love that whole concept of that.
Yeah.
Because then it takes away that I'm doing it for something, or like I'm doing it. I'm sitting on a zafu, to become more enlightened.
Right.
Ugh.
Right.
There's something about that is like, that means I'm not doing it for enlightenment, but when I go to sit on the pillow to train to be intimate with myself, oh, now that is exciting.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
Okay, I'm going to throw this at you right now. Did I talk about, I told you before about whole body way wheel, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, so to draw that type of circle, and then when you're done with that, and so I'm changing the name of this to integrated leadership quadrants, and that so work, body, relationships, and spirit. And in the middle is your core, or your essence of who you are. So with that, I'm just going to write that
because it's just so good.
It is fucking, it's hot right now in me. So relationships and spirit. So this area that you feel that you're growing or training in is this work area right now. As you practice at this and train at it, then it actually affects all the other three quadrants. And as you up your game or up your commitment to why you're doing it in your work, and you up your commitment in relationships, and you up your commitment to your spirit, and you up your commitment to your body, then what starts to happen is it is an integrated way of being a leader in your life, right? That you'll see, like, well, maybe I in relationships, I really don't create deep relationships, so something's holding me back in it. And so if it's that, I'm going to be rejected, well, that's also playing out somewhere in spirit and body and work also, that rejection piece. And so even if it shows up in one area, it's going to carry out to the whole wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And it affects it. So by stretching into different area, all four areas simultaneously on things that may be uncomfortable, and people use the word fear, so I'll say like it's something that scares you around taking care of your body, around your spiritual practice, around relationships, and around work. It's like right now we're in the work quadrant, and 200 grand is, it's not grounded, but yet I'm looking at how to get there and what I can create. And I even have a why I want it. So having one even for relationships, even having one for spirit, and even having one for your body.
It's cool because as soon as you brought up that example, I mean, I'm sure that there's other layers and what have you, but the first thing that popped up was like, oh, well, I'm afraid I'm going to fail. Like if I say to you, or I say to myself, or I put out there publicly, like I'm up to the game of creating, $200,000 in this next 365 days, and I might fail. And it just immediately popped up of like, oh, like, I had a desire to run like a half marathon, but I might fail. And it was, or just seeing where that plays out kind of for me in the realm of relationship or partnership, like where it just might, like I might fail. So, and then I was like, oh, like I might somehow fail at, connecting with God. Like it might not work for me. Like I might fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's not back here doing its thing anymore. It's in front of you right now.
Yeah.
And as long as it stays behind you and you don't bring it out front, it keeps you nice and grounded and safe. On all four quadrants, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because it was funny because I was like, well, I don't not do things in the other quadrants because I might fail, but I do. It's kind of like, oh, I am aware of where it's like, I don't do them like just, like full out or just, kind of madly dive into it. Then that would be like, an epic fail.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So can we play with this?
Yeah.
Okay. So I heard in work, one of the things that is not grounded is $200,000.
Yes.
Okay. So write that one down in that one, 200K.
Okay.
And then in the body quadrant, you said a half marathon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what do you want in relationships or in a relationship, or what do you want in that quadrant?
I mean, the one that comes up right away and that is that thing that just feels like maybe it's just not possible or that I would fail is like truly having a romantic relationship and partnership with someone where I feel like I feel totally met. I want them completely. And then they want me completely, like they're fully choosing me and everything about me in that same way.
So partnership.
Yeah.
Is there another word for that that would be more specific for you?
I'm just going to write down all that in a bag of chips.
Okay.
Because that'll just remind me of like what I said. Because it's
Okay.
like, yes, partnership, but I notice how I do little. I'm like, well, I could have partnership, but I can't have it with, where I feel really met emotionally and sexually, or, so.
Try this on. An intimate relationship. Was that a joke?
No, I just had it. It was like where it's like the word intimate is fine. You can use it and I can go like, right, intimate relationship. And then like where I'm kind of like, oh, if I really think about what is intimate, mean or feel like, yeah, then it does that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's actually a truth response.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then for spirit.
Um, it's something about, like there's this way that I have faith and sort of feel connected to spirit and believe in magic or things. And then there's like this way that I doubt, or what's coming up for me actually is I was just talking to this old like mentor of mine, and I was kind of making a joke actually about being a 1 on the Enneagram. I don't know if this is true or not, but it's true. But it's true for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of saying like, "Oh, it's like God's got it from here to here,
Mm-hmm.
and then God's got it from here to here, but there's this spot in the middle that I have to fucking take care of all the time, or it's just going to go to complete shit."
Hmm.
And so I think what that is like I would like to have the felt experience of like actually God's got it all.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Kendra?
Yeah.
You are God. Ooh. So I actually see it as the opposite that you're saying, that this space in between here that you have
Yeah.
is and then you're saying out here that he has this, but really the opposite of like you're owning, see how am I saying this, that you're owning the outside, but you're not owning that inside piece.
Hmm. 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 It's that's like one of those things that like I get it and I don't get it.
Right.
I'm kind of like, okay,
Well,
that's okay.
yeah,
It's
and just
okay.
even saying that, I'm God or you're God is like that. And it's yeah. And so to me, it's going this way of when I value myself and to be intimate with myself, and that I'm totally worth it to have that experience in being in relationship. I'll use the word with God within me. That my mind does not want that. My thinking says, no, you should be focused on other stuff and not be intimate with myself.
Right.
And so my brain gets really scattered and doesn't have the focus of that I'm actually totally safe as God and I got it all. Like I can handle anything that anybody brings me because I'm safe.
Yeah.
From my core, right?
Yeah.
And so when I get up and sit at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's honoring that for myself. I'm not telling you to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's just for me that it's actually carving out that time that I say, you know, I go through the whole I go through the form. I put the robe on, I put my Roxu on, I'm very, very, and especially right now, it's like I'm in that intense training right now, being that I have what my mind makes up. It's so much going on with the school, a live event, a writing a book, and I'm going to talk on stage in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, And so if I don't do that, then I'm like, oh fuck. And so now when I sit for an hour and then I go to the gym for an hour and I'm like nurturing this temple that is God, that then I hold that whole space, not something outside of me. So I don't know what all that just brought that to being that space that is in the middle that you think you have. That's like the cognitive part. And so like to let that go into the body part and into a practice or something around that to know that you are held and you are safe from your insides. So what would that be for that? Your mind says, oh, don't do that, because that would mean that you're now entering that space for yourself, or you're training at being in that space.
Like an actual activity.
Like
that
a
is
half marathon?
Right.
I mean, like creating $200,000.
Right. Yeah, I don't have it. The word trust comes up. It's like it's a trust activity. But I feel foggier or like less less clear in this quadrant about like, oh, it's like that.
Okay.
That, like definitely that part about God's got it all. It was kind of like, oh, okay, that's like an impossible goal. But the okay, So there's this thing that's coming up for me, but it feels really embarrassing to admit. Which is the like kind of the clearest thing that I've had. I mean, there are all these kinds of things that I've been putting my attention on and just sort of, having some trust, like in terms of what you're saying about, that are sort of just for me in some faith, but they're kind of like the clearest one that really felt about like being in a relationship with God was actually came out during like a masturbation practice. And this place of, like it actually like really like God being my lover. And then being in this relationship of like when my heart opened and when my heart closed and like,
To me, go ahead.
Well, and in that moment, actually, like at that time, I was like, oh, this is like a 40-day practice. Like this is important. And then I have not committed to that with myself. Like it's kind of felt like too much work or like I don't have the time or, or that I don't want to be that subtle sometimes. Like, like it was just so subtle. I mean, clear, but yeah. Kind of like Zazen. Fucking A.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think those are two great options.
What are two great? Zazen and masturbation.
I mean, they're very, very closely interlinked.
Yeah.
My dad's first dissertation was about the orgasm and the connection to God.
Wow.
And then one of the professors on the panel shifted off, and a new professor came in and goes, "I don't fucking get it. Describe it more deeply. Go into it. What does it do to the molecular structure of the body?" And he had to restart all over again, and that brought him to Zazen. And it's the similarity between the two is, can I have an orgasm in stillness and silence?
Yeah. I mean, what happened for me was like actually not having an orgasm. It was like, oh, if I'm connected in this place, then it's like, I don't go so fast. Or it was really about like, what would like not like, it was like, oh, I'm not even open enough to myself to that. If I'm actually in truth around this connection, like if I was actually in a lover relationship right now, it would be like it wouldn't be fair wouldn't be true to the connection to just like keep going and have an orgasm. It was like, oh, it would stop right here. And there would be, and like, maybe we'd never even get there. I mean, that's what happened that night. It was like, well, that's actually all that's going to happen tonight because that's what's true in my relationship with like God in this moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is it a 40-day practice?
Sure. Yes.
Don't sure. Come on.
You're getting my
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay.
Just to feel, I mean, that's what it's about.
Yes. Yeah, it totally, I mean, it's exactly what you say about waking up in the morning and that it truly is like that thing where you just go like, yes, I know that this is actually for me. This is like about that expansiveness and all that, like, yes, there's a place to relate to it kind of from the structure and the rigor of it because that's part of what gets stuff done, but that's not actually where it's coming from,
Right.
It's not just because like, oh, this makes me a better person. Yeah.
Well, this is really good to have all four quadrants with things that go, oh shit.
Yeah. Especially all at once. Like,
Mhm. Yeah. Most people can't take the all at once. I actually went away from this wheel
yeah,
because it was so too much.
yeah,
And one piece I want to share is part of what I'm going to do this on stage
yes,
at Rich's event,
nice.
and I'm only going to do relationships. And
Hmm.
then I'm going to give everybody do a video or on each quadrant like that to take them through it. And the group dynamic of doing a group coaching, then I can do it from one quadrant and have the experience of what it's like to lean into that edge and actually feel what it's like to feel a block on getting something that you want or someone you want to be in relationship with.
Yeah,
Because as soon as you get one block, like I may fail,
right,
and it's
right.
playing out in the work quadrant of making money,
Yes,
and it's playing out in the work quadrant or in the spirit and in the body quadrant. But to really focus it on, people are coming to this experience to make money.
yes,
And so if I go to the money, then it's like, oh, that gets too, let's almost like fake the brain out, and we're going to go to relationships.
yes.
And then we'll find the block there, and then I'm going to point everybody at it right in their work life.
Yeah. I love it. I feel like we're in like some sort of, just in sync. Because like it's basically the same connection that I'm working on making at
Cool.
the public intensive. And there's a piece we're going to do in 4PC that I think you'll really like, specifically in relation to this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hot.
So I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like, one to them and they won't know what hit them.
That's exactly it. Yeah. That's what I've been learning. Just kind of psych the brain out and then point them right at it and then go, oh, fuck.
Yes.
And then find the support to do that. What's
Yeah.
that look like? So I may fail.
Yes.
So all these things, with knowing that big fear is like a minor part of the other fears or beliefs that will come in that will keep you from creating these.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where I ask, are you committed to not letting fear, old beliefs, or shadows keep you from getting what you want?
Yes.
Okay.
Where I can be a full yes to that is when I remember that that I can ask for help.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like if I'm just like, oh, am I going to do it or whatever, then I get a little fritzed out, but then I'm like, okay, like I don't know how to do this. And I ask for help.
Yes.
And I just keep doing that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
And why are you doing this again?
I'm doing it for, I don't know, it's kind of like it's just connected pieces, but I'm doing it for the kind of spaciousness that I want in my life and in my family, like for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like a particular kind of simplicity and spaciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And
I want to bring a specificness to you.
yeah.
I mean, you're talking about your kids when you say family.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
to really bring them into your body when you're saying why
Yeah.
is a big deal for me to talk about Sage and Bodhi.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really true. And again, this is like one of the places where I get blocked sometimes because I'm like, I should be able to do this anyway. And I do. I mean, I do this on a regular basis, is like I bring the kind of attention that I want to bring to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to bring it from like, and it's part of the reason that I include myself in that is like, I know that if we're all walking around out in the garden, my capacity to bring the kind of like spaciousness and attention to Trent and Yada that I want to bring to them is like, it's so much easier and it's so much simpler and it's so much just more like generous and
Mm-hmm.
rich the way that I give to them. And like, that's what I want to give to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I want to give to them from this generous, rich, spacious, like warm, kind of overflowing heart space.
Mm-hmm. So I hear specifically you're doing it for yourself, Trent, and Yada.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can feel that in your body.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the PC, so that's very personal, right?
Yeah.
And why the other piece to the why is about the prison work, I feel.
It is. I mean, there's part of me that wants to say, like, again, it could end up not being about the prison work, but
Mm-hmm.
it's something, there's something in the realm for me that's always like literally from when we first started the Authentic Man program and stuff like that, where I'm like, I want this for people who can't pay for it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or like the people like who just really, this would make like the most dramatic impact in their life, or like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that means. And I've always been drawn towards the prison, but like you said, I've never done it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if it turns out it's not prisons, it's, you know, inner city work, or it's gangs, or it's veterans, or it's like, but for me, it's the freedom to not feel like, oh, there's this longing I have and I can't do it
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have the time, space, money.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford to.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to use the word prison for now.
Yes. Yeah.
And Trent and Yada and yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just to get a little more specific, when we were talking about prisons before, I wrote down this little note. I was like, God, what about running like women's circles in prisons? I just caught like,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, that, now I'm already like, I'm going to put you in touch with Malcolm that has the, Freedom Men's Foundation for sitting, and all he does is go sit in circle in two different prisons. And that's, and he's created a whole nonprofit around that. And it's like, and so that's one. So I don't want to get off on a tangent because that is, I mean, see, it gets me excited when I hear your why.
Yes.
And then two, that I love that you're like, well, it could be anything. It doesn't, I don't even know if it's prison, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing that is that the brain, the mind fuck, is that you don't have to, you can change your mind on any of these.
Right.
You can at any time.
Right.
And the willingness to continue to move forward towards these things is what the practice is seeing what the blocks are.
Right.
That is carrying out, because it'll pop up. You'll be like, oh man, I didn't run this week, or I didn't run today.
Right.
Well, what's keeping me from doing that? You know? And then it leaks out. It may not look like it, but it does. It leaks out into the other areas too.
Well, it makes sense because it's like, you know, like, yes, it might end up being anything, but I'm only going to find that out when I actually go towards the prison work.
Exactly.
And then meet whatever that is and find where it opens or it doesn't open and it moves me in some other direction, rather than going like, it could be anything. And
exactly.
Nothing actually happens because it could be anything. Yes.
Yeah. So put in the work quadrant is the 200K, and then prison work is in there too. Work includes mission work.
Yes.
And the fact that you say it and you haven't done anything with it, there is a block there.
Yes. I might fail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because actually, like I mean, yes, I have this block around like money, but in terms of like doing my work, for the most part, I just don't think I can like fail. But if I go into prisons, I could actually suck at it. Like I could actually fail because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing in a prison. Yeah.
All I mean, you set it up so that all that I could fail is totally there all the time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said a big piece that this is probably the most important piece, is that you're not alone in this.
Yes.
You know, that you do have a support network that is, I'm going to say, so untapped.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, that, you know, for me to call Mark regularly was a huge stretch for me to get support on a regular basis.
I mean, I told Rich I was reaching out to you, and he was like, there's this long pause. And then he said, is there some reason you haven't asked me about this, Kendra? You know, like,
Exactly.
yeah.
You know, and for me, that I've actually been dancing with my relationship with Rich of why don't I reach out to him?
Yes.
You know, and I can share this with you. So I actually, in my one of my sittings, it came to me why is that there's not this connection with him. And like I called to see how he was doing one day, and he said, "Well, let's take that off the table. How can I serve you?" And I gave into that, and I told him exactly what I'm telling you. I gave away my power to him by saying, "Yeah, okay, well, let me think about it." And I figured something out, and then he did his magic.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day I called him back and said, this is where I'm feeling the resistance. Being in deep relationship with you is the type of, I can call Kendra, I can call Mark, I can call Christina. So for yourself though, that you do have that network.
Yes.
And I've
What?
uh, key support.
Oh, okay.
Who are your go-to phone calls when you're not running, or you know? And you know, when I do this integrated leadership quadrants, I pick a person for each quadrant. So like in the body, when I actually chose to do a half marathon, and my friend Sam Wilburn became my athletic coach in running, and he's a triathlete. And as soon as we talked, I go, well, I really can't run that far because my ankles hurt and my knees hurt. And he goes, let me run up and down. And then he ran back and forth, and he goes, well, you're totally running wrong. And I went, well, yeah, but that's my story, and that's why I'm not running the marathon. And we changed my running style, and it was like, oh, now my joints don't hurt anymore. So I could call him anytime I was doing it. And then it became, well, I just tell him I'm doing it just to keep in relationship with them. You know, I text them, I did 10 miles on a Sunday. Wow. You know, and then in work, I'd say it was Rich, but I'd say more that it was Mark, you know, last year, that I could call him and say, this is what's going on. And he challenged the shit out of me, you know. By the time we get back here next time, who's going to create a $55,000 client? Me. And I could just work with that. And in relationships, Ed Fell, okay, is a relationship guy here in Maui. And then why that brought that up, why that little pause, I'll tell you in a sec. And then in spirit was my mom and dad. You know, they're that support for me in my spiritual practice. So you could literally pick a person and ask, hey, I'm doing this, and I would like to be supported in it, specifically on this one thing. So that you are not alone and you're totally supported in it. because it's going to come up where fear and resistance is going to say, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Why that pause came up with relationship is I was standing at the homecoming or graduation for the Mankind Project in the Hawaiian Sanctuary, and I was doing the dishes, and a guy that was staying there says, "Hey, you've been involved in this men's work. What do you think of it?" And I said, "Oh, I love it, da 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 da." And I said, "Well, what do you do? Are you involved in the Mankind Project?" He goes, "No." He goes, "But I really like this thing called circling." And I'm like, "Circling? Okay, that's Kendra." And he goes, "You know Kendra?" And I go, "Yeah, I know Kendra." He said, "Well, I interviewed her on a podcast, and we did a whole circling thing. I think his name is John."
Yeah, John Henke. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was staying living over there right now.
Yeah, that's right. He told me, actually. He's like, I ran into your friend Tony Bonnici. And I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Small world. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know why that came up when I hit because I thought maybe you knew Ed Fell. That's where it came up. So do you see how finding the support and getting clear support on each of those areas?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
When I chose to do the half marathon, every time I tied my shoes, fear, resistance, old beliefs would come up. And so that, when you do a half marathon, it's like there's actually training schedules to do half marathons. You're supposed to do exactly this and you'll get through it healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd tie it, and then it'd be like, you're going to do 3 miles today, you're going to do 4 miles today. All of a sudden it became 10 miles on a Sunday. All of it became 12 miles. Are you kidding? I don't have the time for that. I don't, and all the stuff keeps coming up. Kendra, walking to the starting line, literally my mind was creating pains in my body to not do the run.
Yes.
And I'm talking, my pinky toe was like there was a knife sticking in the side of it, okay? And I'm walking up there and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm looking down at it and I'm like, Amber, you're not going to believe it. My toe is like killing me. And I haven't felt my toe the whole entire time, right? And she looks and she goes, you could quit. You don't have to do it. Like,
she's good. It's just some things about like your pinky toe. It's just.
I mean, are you really? And so that's the power of what the mind does to try and alter to not do what it does. Now, the practice of tying my shoes and doing it anyways, though, showed me that I can go through the fear and resistance or be with it and still complete what I want to get.
Yeah.
I did it. And then at the end, it was like floodgates were fucking opened. Huge. Oh my gosh, I actually did it. And everything else opened. My relationships got deeper. My spiritual practice, I felt the safety of being in intimate with myself. And I ran a half fucking marathon. So it's a great training tool in facing your fear and resistance and keep moving into it anyways. And sometimes I wouldn't run during the day. And then I'm like, wow, look at that. I actually didn't do it. It's kept me from doing it. I'm too tired. I have to be with the kids. It was like, man, excuses city come up, but I choose to do it anyways and get kicked off and come back and get kicked off and come back. And I'm anchoring into the why. And this is all in creating at the initial conversation of creating the $200,000. It's like a training tool for that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the other side of all these experiences. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to ask you to do is to close your eyes and to bring that energy up again of the feeling of having an intimate relationship and a partner that meets you where you're at. You've completed a 40-day practice. You've ran your half marathon. And you're standing on your newly bought property. Which was a result of creating $200,000 in 1 year. Are you feeling it?
It's like it's in and out. It's a comes and goes kind of process.
Okay, good. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's starting to experience it in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Where, when it comes in and out, where does it come to initially?
Mm. The one that was sort of the easiest for me to access. Well, there were 2 points that were the easiest to access. Like when you said doing the half marathon, I felt something like the words that went with it had to do with kind of being with being unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, right. Like you said, like I can do these things. Just, and that felt like there's something just strong. I felt strong.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you said about standing on my new property there, I felt this warmth come into my chest and I smiled.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the most tangible one for me.
Okay.
And then I kind of was able to pull in a little bit the like the experience around partnership of like put that in the almost like in the corner with the property of like, oh, what that would feel like to be kind of in that together or held. And then it yeah, I guess it goes kind of foggy. It's like it comes more into this place where there's some solidity or grounded feeling in my body, and then it goes into more of like a mental activity of imagining.
Mm-hmm. So go back to standing on the property.
Yeah.
So that you can feel the energy in your body standing on the property, looking around.
Yeah. It just feels like space. Like I feel, it's not relief exactly, but you know, those sighs that you have when you're like,
Mm-hmm.
I like, it's like a landed sigh.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels, there's this like softness that comes into, especially my chest, but kind of the front of my body and my throat.
Mm-hmm.
But something like space just opens up all in front and on the side. Like, yes, I'm sort of visualizing something, but it actually is a sensation. Like the
Mm-hmm.
sensation of
Yeah.
space opens up.
Just stay with the feeling
Mm-hmm.
as you open your eyes and look at me. So again, getting used to feeling it actually in your body, and that you actually are with that feeling right now. That there is I'm feeling like you are grounded in that spaciousness. Is that true for you?
Mm-hmm.
So the more that you can practice and go to that place of experiencing all of those being complete and feeling them in your body is the steps in then having it be created. Because your body then, it's not so, I'm going to give Tony a proposal. No, I'm going to give him a proposal, and it's helping me so I can, be with my kids on that property, and I can go do my mission work with right now is feeling to sit in a circle in prisons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, one, I'm aware of, I'm aware of time, but I'm not aware of time right now. So I want to time check.
Yes, got it.
I don't even know what time we started this call. I'm in, just kind of altered myself. And what time did we start?
Well, we started at 12:30 my time. I think it was
Okay.
9:30 your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
9:30, 10:30. Oh, so we didn't leave 45 minutes to start.
Not quite, no.
I mean, yeah. So I need to look at my calendar really quick
Yes.
to make sure that I'm not over and not calling somebody that I might have had a call with.
Okay.
So let me do that real quick. Yes, we're good. And so, yes. Okay. I feel better now. Because I
Yes.
get into that flow and I just start going. So now I want to bring it specifically back to wrap. I want to wrap because I know you want to give a proposal.
Yes.
And that with creating $200,000, that you were talking about looking for opportunities or like being able to, when somebody comes up to you, to utilize it, or how would that work, that you actually take the opportunity and run with it. And so I could ask you questions and we could dance around it, but I'm going to be a little more specific and give you things that work for me, if you're okay with that.
I am. And I think I would love that. I think that's great. And Rich kind of wrote me a whole thing too. So I'm starting to feel like I have some grasp on that. And I'd love to and so I think it also, but it would work well for me if like there were a few things that you had and you just gave them to me and then, yeah.
Okay. So one is his being an opportunity seeker. That you're looking for, where could this be turned into something? And so for me, when I'm talking to somebody at an event, I'm connecting deeply with them. And I'm aware that if there's some place that I can help them or be of service to them, that I'm not going to let that go away. I'm going to actually say, give me your contact information. I will call you.
Yes.
So it's not there in their, here's my business card.
Yes.
Kind of thing, that it's really that I'm engaging in that.
Mm-hmm.
And being vulnerable to say, that's inspiring. I could help you with that. I could be of service to that.
Mm-hmm.
Some form of that. But the main thing is to be looking, where is the opportunity? There's so many opportunities, especially at these events, that, man, I mean, this is where this could be that major shift for you. Your $55,000 client is at that event. Your $25,000 clients are at that event. And they're at all your circling events. They're at all your, anything you go to, they're there. When I sit on the airplane, they're right next to me. So to really be looking, where are the opportunities? And I'm not going to let it just slip away. I'm going to be the driver of that creating. Whether it turns out to be nothing or not, being that I get to be of service to somebody. And for example, my last trip home from San Jose to here, I sat next to the Oracle VP, and it was like, and he was an Aikido master, and so we just the whole way, and I'm like, bro, you are inspiring me. Give me your contact information. I would love to gift you 2 hours. And so we did a 2-hour session. There was no proposal or anything, but I got to serve him, and I got to ask him, who do you know that is like you? I would love to be of service to them. And I'll follow up with him. But the fact is that I got to serve him. I don't have to propose to everybody. It's more the energy of being of service. And then it comes back. And next conversation, I might see how much has he done, and would he be willing to have a conversation about working together, because he was inspiring the heck out of me. He's raising $1 million that Oracle will match him to give away to charity. So always opportunities: planes, trains, automobiles, workshops, walking down the street, hanging out at the park, everywhere. And I come from that place of, for me, being a $3 million business. And so they feel that energy, a man that creates schools. And I've been getting used to it more and more, and I'm feeling it in my body, and whether it's sitting on the Zafu or having an orgasm, it's the same feeling. So I'm a walking fucking orgasm. And it's really consistent. It's an integrated leader right across the board. There's not, I'm here and I'm here. I can have, I can feel down, and knowing that I have access to that, I can bring it online when I need to. There's shitty days and good days, and I need to hibernate. I'll honor that. But wow, I got a call with you. I can't wait. Watch. We're going to create magic together. And I can bring that energy from that place of those two for me. Somebody that creates schools and somebody that has a $3 million business. A way of being, as Rich says. And it's an energetic thing. We're experiencing that right now. And to me, when I see you on stage is when that energy is at orgasm. And so how to bring that right across the board. When you step off the stage, you stay with it. You don't just let it go. And then people are like, ooh, what is that? I want, how do I get more time with you? You know, people come up at the last one and like, Tony, wow, I feel your energy. I can't believe it. Man, what are you doing? And it was like, it's so infectious when we stay with that energy of a place to come from. And the orgasm really does it well as that tool. I mean, Monica has said it before. Have an orgasm before your phone call with a client. I think that's fucking brilliant. You know? And for some they need it, some they don't. But it's that energy piece, you know? So, anything else you want to add or check in or ask questions before we tighten this so we can move for yourself?
I don't think so right now. I'm, you know, from this and just from other things, I kind of feel like it's coming from all these angles of just the importance, the value, and actually the gift of, like, when you said like you're the driver of looking for those opportunities. And it's the same. I talked to Trip the other day, and he was talking about basically drawing the line for people between like what I do that creates connection and how that actually benefits them in ways they don't even know. Like, and kind of just noticing in both of those where maybe this is more of a woman thing, or maybe it's me, you know, like about kind of being nice, or like there's something that seems like it's nicer to let them find it themselves, or like if they want it, they'll figure that out, or something like that. And actually starting to just see where that's actually, I don't know, all the words that come up seem a little too harsh, like stingy or rude, or like, but I'm asking them to do the work actually. And kind of going like, oh no, actually I can do the work to tell them exactly how this is going to help them. Like, not only is this just a connection that they made with the person they're sitting next to at the intensive and that felt good, but it's exactly that kind of connection that's going to have them sign their clients, that's going to have their clients be loyal, that's going to have them make the money they want, you know, like draw that connection, that's actually generous of me to be willing to make that connection for them, or to say to somebody, I can help you with that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually generous, as opposed to like thinking that it's generous to let them ask.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that's the piece that's really there for me. And yeah.
Yeah, the driver connecting the line. I love it.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you for asking for what you wanted and having this time with me.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel deeply gifted.
So I don't want to change this feeling right now.
Yeah.
I want the proposal from this.
Okay.
That's my want, and whatever you do is fine.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, for me, it links right back to what happened right at the beginning of kind of like, oh, this is training. It's a true desire of mine. And it's training.
Yes, exactly.
So, I think or I know anyway, what, like right now, there's a way I'm kind of reflecting on not so much conceptually, but that place where we're talking about training, like maybe it's more feeling than reflecting on some of the places we've been today. And at the same time, there's my mind a little bit of like where I kind of, like my idea that I had around the proposal. And I'm pulling them together. And there's one part that's just true for me that I want to kind of speak to you, like you personally, which is, I know there's different pieces to it, but one part of it is just like, one part's just how much I love like playing with you. And it's kind of, you know, when we talked about it in our last call a little bit, like these different ways that we connect. But the fact is that I actually just like playing with you. So there's one part of me that kind of wants to do it no matter what, you know? And that one of the parts that's been tricky for me about that is the part that wants to, and then there's the part that just loves you and is like excited that you're doing something that I can help you with. Like, I'm like, oh, I can do that. What's that?
I want a number.
You want a number?
Yeah, don't give me anything else. Don't caveat it with anything.
Okay. Don't caveat it with anything. Okay. That feels... I want to work with you. I want to create a way where we work together between now and the end of the year that creates this thing that you want to create, and that like wraps the whole thing up and then moves that into like whatever else. But I basically want to create a way to work with you between now and the end of the year. Okay. I'm going to start again. Thank you for letting me be with you in this. So I want to create that container for this particular piece, this particular project, and for this particular piece. What I want to work with you, can give me coaching on this later. My number is $10,000.
Thank you. So I'm definitely in that I'm looking at that being very much a possibility. I can't give it a hell yes right this second. And so that to give it a clear no for you right now, because I don't want to live it's not about a maybe, it's more about that I'm creating that. that it's like, how do I say this clearly? One, I don't have a budget for this. And so that this is all new to me also. And so that you give me a number says then, okay, so do I really want this workshop the way that I'm talking about it? And so then I would be creating that money. And so, to me, a hell yes is that I write you a check. And that I can't write you a check would be a no. Knowing that it's motivating to me of how bad do I want it, and saying, well, that's interesting. I really get to like put my stake in the ground with that as I sign a check over. You know, and so it's a no, and I'm going to keep moving forward on it. And I don't know what that looks like for us with a no, to continue with what we got going on.
Well, here's what I would like.
Okay.
There's two things. One is I totally appreciate that. And I love anyway, I love it. And I totally appreciate it. And I also just want to share like how excited I get. Like as soon as I said that, and as soon as I just imagined, like every time that I've imagined, like, man, if I could work with Tony in this way, I get so excited. So that's there for me. And partly with that, and also just kind of knowing for me where I would, I think there's a lot of value for me in making this proposal the way that I just did, and us like just being, having this conversation the way it just happened.
Totally.
And knowing the conversation that I would actually have wanted to have.
Right.
Some other ways before just saying $10,000.
Yes, totally.
Oh, and even backtracking a little bit, like when you said that about the stake in the ground, that actually came up for me this morning in the shower. I was like, I feel you totally moving on this intensive or this live event that you're doing. I feel you totally moving on it. And I just like, I touched on that place where I was like, yeah, if Tony was paying me to work with him, everything that I asked him to do, he'd be fucking like, that shit would be done. Like in nobody's business. Exactly. And I know it. And I know like, and, so that was exciting too. It's like exciting for me because I'm so excited about the work and I know what we could do together. And then it was exciting to just feel the place where I know you would be on fire every single time we got off the phone, Yes, totally. So with that said, what I would really like to do is actually schedule a conversation where, again, we really look at it, but we also like really dive into everything you want to create and how we can work together. That's a hell yes for both of us. Right. Because, yeah, I don't know, maybe this is my weird caveat, but it's just you and me. So I'll just say it, which is like, I know that I'm going to be in some support of you, like that just doesn't go away. Like, it's not just like poof, it's gone. Oh, you said no to my proposal. So it's like, I want to, but I do want to formalize it because I also know the part of me that will just want to like kind of give, and then have it not work. And what I really want to find is the place where you and I formalize something that is a total hell yes for both of us. Yes, definitely. Are you up for that? Oh yes, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can we schedule that now? Yes. Okay. I'm thinking of time and that's perfect. Okay. My head's going into calendar mode. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm going to say congratulations. You got your first no. So what I would like to schedule is like the first week in May.
And and I want to give a why on that is that, doing my book right now,
Mm-hmm.
and, is like that's taken some focus on me right now. And so like I feel like I got a lot on my plate. And I was talking to Amber about this. She goes, "You're preparing so far out from doing this workshop. Usually, we do like 6 months maybe at the most,
Mm-hmm.
And so that by the first week of May, then I have time for myself to get deeper into the book, or even published by the end of April is what I've been putting out there, is I want this thing published by the end of April. And so then that's going to be off my plate.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing what, I have some idea of what Sarah would be charging also.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that way I can I have the opportunity to create that money
Mm-hmm.
around that. And so looking at that saying, okay, so you gave me a number, and now I put up or shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that drive for me that is in that says, "Oh, this is spicy."
Mm-hmm. Yes. Um, kind of as my role in this, and then kind of as your friend.
Okay, go.
There's where I go when you say that is like awesome. So basically what I hear you saying is you take the whole intensive or the live event right now, and you go like you just put the whole thing right up on the shelf
Mm-hmm.
until May, because
Mm-hmm.
you're clearly prioritizing something else.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no sort of like, oh, I'm working on it a little bit, or I'm doing this, or I'm, like whatever we talked about from our last call, whatever, all that, you're just like, awesome. That actually all of that is off my plate right now. I am in this moment, even you're not creating a live event. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
actually not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And as you say that, I mean, it's so formulating right now that, I mean, you have an idea, and that I'll say you have no idea is that, like, even just having this integrated leadership quadrants is part of that formulation of it.
Yes. Yes.
And then, um, like yesterday, I was talking to a guy that I coached a year ago, and he was referring me somebody, and he was going, "Tony, I have 78 videos out online since our phone call." He goes, "That's how much you influenced my life, right?" And so he does or not self defense, but like empowering women to be able to defend themselves under
Mm-hmm.
attack. And he has this big suit that you put
Yeah. It's
on.
like the model mugging and that whole, yeah.
Well, he's a trained model mugger.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about how it's like carpet work to go into that whole mugging thing, and actually like it's deep work to go into being attacked.
Yes.
And I'm like, holy shit, what would that look like to bring that to the event of like somebody in a suit like that, and you give somebody an experience in their body
Yes.
around that, along with Aikido, and it brings in my martial arts side.
Yes.
So I can't say that I'm totally putting it on the shelf. Sorry.
Yes.
And I get what you're saying. You know what I mean? So it's a both
Yeah.
and for me.
It is a little bit both end, but it's like in that way that you talk about too. Like if you're like to actually get your book published. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even when you talked about the Oracle guy, I was like, awesome. Like he could fill your event.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that works for him, they're exactly the people who need it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Right. But where you could go down that route a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Not
maybe
fully
not
commit.
have your book published by the end of April, or not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So just to be clear, yes, it's being put on the shelf.
Yes.
And let's
Right.
set the
I get
date.
that your mind is not that your mind is ever going to stop having ideas
Mm-hmm.
about it, or like everything you're doing is creating that event,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not actually creating the event.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say Monday the 2nd.
Um, Yes, I can do Monday the 2nd. Let's see,
Three hours behind her.
you're going to be 3 hours behind. So what would be the earliest that works for you that day?
How about 8 o'clock a.m.? 11 o'clock your time.
Okay, great. Does 8 o'clock really work for you?
I'm putting it in right now.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Can we put in an hour and a half?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
And I'll block 2 hours just to be safe.
Awesome. Yeah.
Got it.
I love it. I love all of this.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just bring something up that's a little off topic?
Mm-hmm.
So what I would love, and this was actually kind of in my head even before I went in, because partly just for the whole thing, but I love also that I knew there was going to be kind of this dance back and forth in this, is I would love to actually post this video in the 4PC group.
Which video?
This one, the one that we just made of this session.
You would, huh?
I would. I mean, wherever you're going with it for yourself, like there's no way that it's not more embarrassing for me. So.
All right, let's play. Let's roll it.
Cool.
See, I love you.
I love it. It's just what I was just thinking. I love you.
All gushy. No.
Yeah. All right.
Excellent. I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks or less.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
And here we go.
Cool. If you send this to me, I can do the posting if you want.
Okay.
Okay.
Aloha.
Ciao.
Stop recording.